Africans learn from and discuss with each other topics they choose. Each session is curated by African Wikimedians to expand Africa's open movement. Today's host is Cecilus Obanyaya.
Hello, lovers of free knowledge. I'm Cecilus Obanyaya. I'm your host. I welcome us to a new episode of the WikiAfrica Hour. And of course, like you know, is a monthly podcast to support the activities of the WikiAfrica movement and Wikimedians across Africa. Today is Friday, the 28th of July, and I'm glad to share this month's news updates with Noni. Hello, Noni.
Hi, Cecilus. Thank you so much for having me. We start with news about Wikimedia Movement Charter. The Movement Charter Drafting Committee has released drafts on the Global Council and hubs. You are invited to share your thoughts and suggestions, in particular on funds dissemination, Global Council structure and membership, and for other key open questions until the 31st of August 2023. Additionally, drafts for chapters on decision-making, roles and responsibility, and a glossary document are being developed. And now moving to culture and heritage topics. The Wikimedia Foundation's Culture and Heritage team invites you to join the Wikisource Loves Manuscripts Learning Partners Network. The Wikisource Loves Manuscripts project aims to foster collaboration among communities interested in digitizing and transcribing manuscripts on Wikimedia platforms such as Wikimedia Commons and Wikisource. It's also to support the creation of handwritten text recognition models using the newly introduced Transcribers engine and Wikimedia OCR. The official launch of the network is scheduled for September 2023. To ensure the program meets your needs, we kindly request your participation in our Needs Assessment Survey. Please take your time and fill out the survey on or before 2nd August 2023. The AMHS Foundation invites you to fill an anonymous survey in an effort to better understand primary opportunities and questions in expanding global culture and perspectives to audience worldwide. Upon completing the survey, qualifying respondents can select a nonprofit to receive a donation through Global Giving. Global Giving makes donations to more than 5,000 charitable projects in 175 plus countries. Over to you, Cesc.
Thank you so much, Nani, for those interesting updates. And now some news on Wikimedia conferences. The fourth Wikimania 2023 update to the global community will be held on Sunday, July 30th, between 12 p.m. UTC and 1 p.m. UTC. Please endeavor to join the call. Wikisource Community User Group is planning to organize the Wikisource conference in 2024. They are conducting an engagement survey to apply for grant to the Wikimedia Foundation. And of course, your responses will help to build the Wikisource conference and program. Please give them your feedback by filling the survey, whether you are a Wikisource community member or not. The 2024 Wikimedia Summit will take place once again in Berlin on April 19th to April 21st, 2024. The event will be an opportunity for athletes from across the globe and the Wikimedia Foundation to come together, to connect, and to engage around how our movement is governed. Visit the meta page to read more about the summit and how you can participate.
And finally, a quick announcement on the Gender Gap Initiative. The Wiki Loves Women She Said campaign is back for the 4th edition. After 3 successful years of empowering women and amplifying their voices through the WikiQuote project, the Wiki Loves Women team is more inspired than ever to continue this remarkable journey together. The campaign will run from October 1st to December 31st, 2023. If you intend to organize a local event, you can apply for a grant to the Wikimedia Foundation before the 1st of September 2023. In order to ensure a smooth and comprehensive grant application, the Wiki Loves Women team has devised this grant request template, which can be found on She Said meta page.
Thank you so much, Noni, for your help in sharing the news updates. And with that, I welcome us once again to the 29th episode of WikiAfrica Hour, titled Wiki Work on the Heritage Space. We always hear that the wiki belongs to education. Apparently, wiki belongs to more than just basic education. Wiki evidently belongs to culture and heritage, among other things. How has the Wikipedia and the Wikimedia project impacted the heritage space? What does the future look like between Wiki and the cultural heritage space? How can we make our collective efforts and input count towards having a global impact around cultural heritage? To answer these questions and more, and of course share their various experiences working in GLAM or cultural heritage space, we have invited the following guest speakers. First, we have Iolanda Pensa. Iolanda is Italian and Swiss. She lives in Milan and has been contributing to Wikipedia since 2006, mainly about contemporary African art. She has been the president of Wikimedia Italia since 2020, chair of the Wikimania committee since 2017, and lead of Wikimania Estinulario in 2016, and of course, coordinator of the Estinulario Eco Museum Delhi, Green, since 2009. She is also a member of Wikimedia Switzerland and co-founder of associations like Inform Azioni and Wiki in Africa. She is equally the founder and project manager of Italian cultural heritage on Wikipedia, the Wikimedia and OpenStreetMap projects. And next we have Susana Anass. Susana lives and works in Helsinki, Finland. She works to advance open access to cultural heritage at the intersection of Wikimedia, the open knowledge, and Creative Commons. She is the initiator of Wikimaps, Wiki documentaries, Hack for Open GLAM, and Wiki Loves Living Heritage. She currently serves as the partner liaison for Wiki Loves Living Heritage. And next we have Isaac Chabota Kanguya. Isaac, of course, is currently active on Chichewa Wikipedia. Isaac lives in Zambia. He also contributes on English Wikipedia. He co-facilitated the WikiGoes ACCT in Uganda and hosted Wiki Loves Africa 2019 in Zambia. He is also one of the leaders of the Wikitongues user group. And outside the Wikimedia movement, Isaac is the chief operating officer at Chatu. And then lastly, we have Sadik Shahadu, whom is yet to join us, but I hope he makes it in good time to be part of this session. Sadik Shahadu is from Ghana. He is a certified Wikipedia trainer, researcher, and also a social media manager for MHZ Foundation and Curationist.org. He also is the executive director and co-founder of the Dagbani Wikimedians user group in Ghana. He is currently serving as the West African Indigenous Language Coordinator at Art and Feminism and a member of the steering committee of the Wikimedia Language Diversity Hall. Outside the Wikimedia movement, Sadik serves on the advisory of the UNESCO Open Education for Better World program, a Mozilla Open Leader X Fellow he also is, and a MOSFES Wrangler mentor. He is currently also the communications manager for Wiki Loves Living Heritage. Please welcome these amazing guests as we engage them. Hello, Yolanda. Hello, Susana. Hello, Isaac. Hello, Sadik. You're lucky I would have had Avengers fetch you for me. Welcome to the session. And just in case I didn't do justice introducing you amazing persons in a sentence or two, just reintroduce yourself, starting with you, Susana.
Thank you for the invitation as well as the introduction. I don't have much to add, but I just maybe mention that I have a specific interest in a microhistorical view and the edges of knowledge in what we publish and store and safeguard on Wikimedia projects. And this is what has been driving also to work on this Living Heritage project. But I'll be talking about that more. Thank you.
Over to you, Isaac, just in a sentence or two, introduce yourself.
Oh,
Isaac, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Oh, okay. My name is Isaac Chabota Kanguya from Lusaka, Zambia. I've been a Wikimedian since 2011, but I've been active as of 2014 up to date. I don't think there's anything else to add. So you've done a proper introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. And Iolanda.
Hello, thanks for this invitation. I've been working in the last year quite deeply in Italy by focusing on heritage and museum. And I think the experience of Italy can be maybe interesting for other countries because we have a very complex legislation. So maybe the way we are now collaborating with institutions and heritage sites and administration might be an inspiration or might be useful for some other countries. So I would like to tell you a little bit more about what we're doing and the communication we're making, in particular with all Italian museums and all the work we've been doing on Italian heritage.
Thank you so much, Iolanda, for sharing those interesting details, and we can't wait to see all these collaborations and works benefiting the community across board. And lastly, to you, Sadik, I don't know if you can speak from where you are.
Hi everyone, greetings from Brussels. My name is Sadik Shahadu. I'm sorry, I'm currently in a bus traveling from Brussels to Amsterdam, and I may not be able to speak a lot, but I will use the chat to share as much as I can. My name is Sadik Shahadu, as I mentioned. I'm the communication manager for Wiki Loves Living Heritage, and
I guess he's in transit, and that could possibly be interfering with his communication. And yes, that's Sadik. He's currently traveling. The same way we have Wikimedians in residence. I think Sadik will pass for Wikimedian in tourism if there is anything like that. Moving forward, I would like to start with you, Susana, for the first question. Susana, I was personally intrigued the first time Sadik told me about the Wiki Loves Living Heritage, even though I didn't know entirely what it's about. Susana, what is Wiki Loves Living Heritage about?
Okay, so Wiki Loves Living Heritage is what we call a campaign. Campaign can be so many things in the Wikimedia environment that nobody really knows what it is. Is it a technology on Wikimedia Commons or something else? But anyway, this is a project, a campaign in that sense that lasts for this whole year 23, and it focuses on living heritage. Living heritage is also known by another name. It's called intangible cultural heritage. So it's about everything that is not tangible. It's about tradition, folklore, storytelling tradition, singing, crafts, cosmologies, and such. So things that you can't really touch, but things that need living people to carry and transmit it from generally generation to generation. And what we are now doing is to invite the whole of the Wikimedia communities around the world, as well as then the organizations and authorities that manage this type of heritage in different countries, preparing inventories for UNESCO, and then also heritage communities to bring together these different groups in order to celebrate the anniversary of the UNESCO convention this year, or pay tribute to it, and then bring a lot of this heritage on Wikimedia projects, which is not unproblematic. And this is there are many questions regarding this. So I just don't think that I can tell all about it in this introduction. So I'm going to let you ask me something.
That's fine. At least we know that it's some sort of anniversary for heritage, and that's interesting knowing that the UNESCO takes time to, mark these anniversaries and perhaps bring about engagement from the necessary stakeholders. Thank you for explaining what the Wiki Loves Living Heritage is. And coming to you, Sadik, you manage communications for the Wiki Loves Living Heritage initiative. Sadik, what activities are involved, and who are participating, or who have participated so far? I don't know if Sadik could hear me, but I guess we'll just move on.
No voy a recoger los auriculares y...
Okay, I guess he's being in transit, would not let him talk to us for now. But then earlier, I recall you mentioned UNESCO, Susana. This is really a great ally in terms of the work around heritage or culture-related topics. But it's unfortunate that there are not a lot of people who actually know how to, partner GLAM institutions or heritage institutions, not to talk of an entire UNESCO. Susana, please enlighten us on how this partnership could be achieved, since you are the partner liaison for the Wiki Loves Living Heritage. And what other things do you think could be better improved in the heritage space?
In fact, this is a collaboration between the organizers, the local organizers, the country organizers, the network of them, and the Wikimedia affiliates. And so it's a lot of separate collaborations. And I think this one came about through my long-standing collaboration with the Finnish organizer of this intangible cultural heritage locally in Finland. And because this year was upcoming, we were thinking that what kind of activities could be created around that. And from thinking first whether we should do something in Finland, whether we should do something in Europe, or why not do something in the world? Because when you do like set up a project or set up a structure for a project, it actually can be done everywhere, and the festive year happens everywhere. And in a way, there are many questions that we need to tackle with those with this kind of heritage where the people are in the center. Especially ethical questions about depicting these people or depicting their heritage. So it is a very unique opportunity to tackle these questions in the whole movement. So I hope this kind of answered your question.
In a way, yes, because you mentioned that instead of focusing the approach in Finland, that you people thought about the benefits in terms of going global, which is interesting because I have a feeling that by the time this is done, we might have some athletes or local language communities from the activities reaching out to perhaps continue the collaboration one way or the other. Nice. Thank you so much for explaining that because people are easily overwhelmed in terms of when they hear any UN organization being in partnership. They probably don't even know how that works. But yes, it's very, very interesting to know that having somebody who perhaps has experience partnering with such institutions could help and make the work easier. And I understand that the Wiki Loves Living Heritage has something arranged for the 2023 Wikimedia conference happening in Singapore. Susana, what do we expect at Wikimania?
We have a nice spot right after the keynote. The Heritage Board of Singapore has participated in or created program locally. We have not initiated it in any way. It happens locally between the local partners. So this is exactly the kind of activities that we wish to see. And the National Heritage Board is giving the keynote, and we are presenting Wiki Loves Living Heritage after that keynote. And what else we can do is that we call it a bazaar. The bazaar is a concept that we have created for these different organizations and Wikimedians to meet. This bazaar is a very condensed one. It's in 20 minutes and maybe the next coffee break as well. But the idea is the same, that we want to make people meet and share with each other their experiences, or at least contacts, and get to know each other. And that is the main thing that is happening. But then there's also the hackathon. We may hack some kind of tools that we can use to make maybe tiny contributions that, there's something on Wikimedia projects, but it's not on any inventory or something. And you can kind of like click that I want this to be displayed as intangible cultural heritage, living heritage for the whole world, for example. But this is not something that I can promise because it's a hackathon. So there may be someone who picks it up with me, and then we can create it. But let's see. And altogether, like somewhere, yeah, I guess I mentioned all. But if you have any ideas, because people are coming there from all over the world, this is a great opportunity to discuss and see what can be done in each of the different locations there. Each of the countries, areas have different questions.
Interesting. I am personally looking forward to that because we've had this cultural heritage project that we are hoping to scale over time, at least within Africa. Maybe we can definitely share an idea or two around that with the Igbo Wikimedians user group. Thank you so much, Susanna, for answering that. And lastly, in the end of all this, I don't know, are there recognitions, bannsters, prizes, anything?
I'm sorry. I think I missed the question.
Yes. So you know how we usually give recognitions during the regular Wikimedia project. I'm trying to know if we're going to have bannsters or prizes, or maybe certificates of participations. I mean, what would be the souvenir for the participating communities?
We don't have any. Just to be blunt about it, I think because it's just like a multitude of different collaborations, a multitude of different projects and programs, they can be invented locally. So we don't have any overall. We just help people come together.
Interesting. That's nice. I guess it's up to the various local communities to arrange whatever they want to perhaps use as souvenir for the respective participants. Thank you so much, Susan, for answering those interesting questions. And with that, we move to the panel two, where we have Iolanda and Isaac. Hello, Iolanda. Uh, I actually saw you smiling, nodding at the discussion around Wiki Loves Living Heritage. What do you think about the project itself and its offerings, Yolanda? I think you're muted.
I think in Italy is Camelia Boban, who is working on this project, and she's been very active on everything that is immaterial heritage. Wikimedia Italy is more focused on cultural heritage and material heritage. But I think it's a fascinating project. I really like the approach of collaborating, and in general, campaigns among the movements are very nice, are always an occasion to look at what is happening and maybe imitating some formats to invite people to participate. So definitely is an interesting project, and now is a particularly relevant project because it allows people to interrogate also on the role of communities, what is immaterial heritage, how we can preserve it. And also at an international level, there is a very wide debate on making sure that we keep immaterial heritage active and contemporary. So even editing Wikipedia somehow, or editing the Wikimedia project, we could consider it living heritage. Now we have we are creating something new. We are creating a community, and that could be interesting also to preserve it. There was some time ago a project to candidate Wikipedia and the Wikimedia project as a World Heritage. Maybe it's also an interesting contest to reconsider it.
Thank you so much, Yolanda, for emphasizing that. And we're actually happy that, the Wikimedia Italia is playing its role when it comes to documenting cultural heritage. And sometimes, Yolanda, you can agree with me that documenting heritage could be quite a Herculean task, irrespective of where you are. Could you please walk us through the Italian Cultural Heritage on Wiki project and OpenStreetMap project initiative, which you have been working on? What is this initiative about, and when did it start?
Well, the first things to consider is that Wikimedia Italy is also a chapter of OpenStreetMap, and this is something that I would strongly recommend also to Wikimedians and our communities collaborating with OpenStreetMappers. It's very valuable, and it is a very fruitful collaboration. Also to document monuments, to use data, to organize events together. So the project was established with this idea of not only producing photos with Wiki Loves Monuments, but also improving content on Wikipedia, collaborating with OpenStreetMap, adding resources in different platforms like Wikidata. And Wikimedia Italy has been supporting Wiki Loves Monuments for many years, since 2012. But we have a extremely complicated political situation, administrative situation in maybe is more precise. There are some countries who don't have freedom of panorama, but in our case, we don't have freedom of panorama, but even cultural heritage that is in public domain, it has some limitations due to an administrative norm. So if you want to take a photo, and this photo you want to release it with a commercial license, so a license that allows also commercial use, and those are the licenses of our project, you need to ask for an authorization, and you are supposed to pay a fee. We spent many years in asking authorizations. So we ask people who own and manage heritage to authorize the production of images for commercial purposes, and to provide them for free. So to allow us to make them available, take photos and make them available for every reuse without paying anything. But it is a process that is a nightmare, because in 10 years, we just recently did an evaluation. We did a study also with the university to look at the impact of Wiki Loves Monuments in Italy. So we did quite an amazing job. We involved over 2,600 city councils, so municipalities in Italy. We have almost 9,000. But it has been a huge work, and also a too complicated one. You can't really ask one by one institution for the authorization. So in the last 3 years, we started working with some topics. We decided to focus on themes. So last year, we focused Wiki Loves Monuments on castles and fortifications. And we established a collaboration with the National Association in Italy that focuses on castle and fortifications. So that simplified the procedure. This year, we're focusing on religious buildings. So they're going to be churches of any religious. And we created a huge database of those buildings in Italy. They're extremely numerous, as you can imagine. And next year, we will be focusing on GLAMs. And we started a very important project, a campaign to involve all museums in Italy. In Italy, there are around 4,000 museums. And we improved their data on Wikidata, and we are now contacting them all and supporting them in an open access procedure. So throughout time, we have already engaged in the past around 1,000 museums that have signed up for Wiki Loves Monuments, and they have started some opening their content and collaborating with the Wikimedia project. Now we are inviting more. We are creating case studies, but we think that trying to address all museums can be an interesting approach, and maybe also for Africa. There are around 1,000 museums on the continent. Of course, probably is not a correct number. There are probably more that are not acknowledged properly. But improving Wikidata and contacting them, maybe that could be an interesting new idea to work on and to see how we can both contribute to it.
Oof, interesting figures out there, Yolanda. I mean, being able to involve about 2,500 city councils out of 9,000, that's actually a step in the right direction. Maybe with time, the rest the rest will be roped in, because it's sincerely not easy. I hate to say that governments across the world are the same in terms of bottleneck bureaucracies and whatnot. But at least it's interesting to see that you people are enjoying a level of success with your approach. You mentioned the absence of freedom of panorama in Italy. I don't know if people here know, but Nigeria has also removed it as of 17th March 2023. Yolanda, what does this mean for GLAM and heritage space, in terms of documentation? I mean, how do you start chasing whom to get permissions from before putting the work in the public space? How can people who have no freedom of panorama in their countries start to navigate around this issue?
Well, it needs to be remembered that everything that is still covered by copyright, so it means that the author has not been dead for more than 70 years, requires an authorization. A good approach can be to work with the Association of Local Architects and to involve them in the project. The fact that buildings are recognized and are considered within the list of Wiki Loves Monuments can be interesting also for them. So this is also showing the value and showing the impact. What we saw for Wiki Loves Monuments in Italy is that it is very important to associate the impact to also territorial development. At the end, it is not simply that you highlight monuments, but you're highlighting the richness of a country, of a city, of a region. So showing the impact also on articles on Wikipedia, it's something that is quite efficient. Wikilove's Monuments contributes to images, to articles related to cities, to regions, to location, and of course to specific beautiful buildings or monuments. And this is obviously something that produces a better understanding and a better knowledge of those territory. We found that regional government were very supporting of the project. So this is also something that the endorsement of public administration can also facilitate the understanding of the value of Wikilove's monuments. In general, there are very limited cases where there is really a refusal to be on Wikipedia. So people are interested in showing that the artwork or the building or the heritage that they're associated with is highlighted on the encyclopedia. So this is also a way, obviously, to reinforce the position and encourage people to provide the authorization. But it needs to be done a written authorization. You can also collect a signed paper. In Cameroon, we did it with a series of artists. So we ask artists to allow the images of public artwork that they produced. It's also a good idea to engage also contemporary art association if they are producing artworks in the public space, so that you can get an authorization also for them.
That's an interesting approach. I mean, engaging the Association of Architects and Association of those into contemporary art. Yes, that definitely could open more doors to having these works used under the right reusable licenses per se, and also how do I say, when these perhaps regional governments or respective state governments get to know that this could in a way promote tourism, perhaps they can begin to see things our own ways also. Thank you for sharing those details, Yolanda. And the last question for you, is it enough to just be a Wikimedian in order to drive such an initiative like Italian Cultural Heritage on Wiki Project? What lessons can you share to anyone who is hoping to toe this line? And how can we promote synergy around cultural heritage in the movement?
My experience is that at the end of the day, are only few people that actually make a lot of contribution online. So in reality, people really have a huge impact on the project. You don't really need, obviously, you need less blah blah and more work around the project. So you need people that actually do things. This is definitely something needed, but you don't need an army. You can just have a small team of people that enjoy spending time together, and they take photos together and they do uploads. So this is definitely the essential step. It is true, though, that we found that the role of Wikimedia Italy in such a but peculiar and complex governmental situation, it's a relevant role. So having an institution, having an association, an interface that can facilitate contact, it is often useful if you need to contact a government, contact another association. It can also be bridged by other organizations. You can do a partnership with other groups, maybe somebody focusing on heritage, heritage, you can also maybe ask for help to communication offices. I don't know if the Wikimedia Foundation can actually be active, but also other association, Wiki in Africa could be, or other organization can maybe support if there are no institutional presence in certain countries. So definitely for a dialogue with the government, it can be precious, but at the end, you always need the people that actually do the work. So.
True. Thank you so much, Yolanda. Yes, it's not really about having so many hands. It's about having good and capable hands to get the work done. Interesting details you shared with us, and thank you so much. And with that, we come to you, Isaac. Hello, Isaac.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, thank you.
So it's fine. It's fine. So you are organizing the 2023 Wiki Loves Monument in Zambia.
Yes,
Isaac,
yes, yes,
that's probably your first time
yes.
organizing, and could you please share your experience on planning the local activities with us?
Okay, thank you. This is actually the first time where, like you've said, we're organizing Wiki Loves Monument as a competition in the country. We what I'm trying to, or what me and my fellow Wikimedians locally are trying to do is we're trying to promote the new user group that we're trying to get affiliated. So in doing that, we're trying to bring in all these competitions that are around us at the same time, documenting and preserving our culture that we have in terms of heritage and the national monuments that we have. The planning so far, I've just used, we're using the knowledge that we've collected so far in terms of planning for Wiki Labs Africa and also Wiki Labs Earth. So these the past experience that we've had is what we've been able to bring on board to plan for Wiki Labs monuments. We've been discussing, the issue of freedom of panorama is one thing that has hit us hard. So what we actually thought of doing is we've engaged the National Heritage Conservation Commission, who are the actual caretakers of the monuments that we have in the country. So we've engaged them to ensure that we do not have problems when actually the participants start to upload these images. So we already have a team that is ensuring that that is covered so that we don't have problems that we might have in terms of freedom of panorama. But at the same time, we are working with a couple of lawyers to ensure that the freedom of panorama is actually brought into the Constitution of Zambia. We've already started. There's a draft that we've made, and there's more inclusion that we want to be included into the Constitution so that we can be able to have freedom of panorama.
Wow, that's a huge step, Isaac. I mean, Wikilove's Monument keeps opening these doors because I remember sometime in February last year, we had the Wikilove Monument South African team on the session, and it was during their Wikilove's Monument activities that they were able to, have a say in the copyright law or the copyright legislation in the Republic of South Africa. So hearing you guys are also towing that line or going that direction to make sure that the freedom of panorama is actually not conflicting with the work you will be doing on ground as Wikimedians, it's quite interesting. And with that, I say really well done to you and your team, and please keep us updated because there will be need to share or compare notes with some other communities in the future, like those of us who have to make the journey up the hill now because we just woke up one morning and freedom of panorama was gone. So so we are now trying to get the conversation started, because if there was proper stakeholder engagement, we would have had the opportunity to make our case heard. But then, thank you for letting us know that there is a team of lawyers trying to secure you guys too. And that being said, it's, I mean, some would say that there are monuments littered across Africa. How would the participants actually know what to submit in terms of what passes as a monument? This organization you called, are they sharing a list with you? Please let us know.
Yes. So the team that we're working with, or rather the organization, which is National Heritage Conservation Commission here in Zambia, they've actually given us a list of monuments across the country. And so with that list, we are using it to give the participants to show them. Actually, you can be able to take pictures of these particular monuments. And then to ensure that we do not have a huge conflict, we've recommended that they take natural monuments, because if you take, let's say, monuments in terms of building, it might not be covered by the National Heritage Conservation Commission, but anything that is natural and is on the list, that definitely is covered, because with them backing us, I believe we might not have problems with admins on Wikimedia Commons.
Yes, that actually makes sense, knowing that the local authority there in charge of monuments and all, they are sharing the lists with you guys, and it actually, protects you further to make sure that you don't upload what shouldn't be there, or maybe get any sanction or break any law while you are at it. Interesting.
Can I
And
maybe
okay,
Can I
sure.
maybe say something about it? Great idea. And also something that we did was also to include in the list of monuments the overview of municipalities. So having like a picture that it doesn't focus on a specific monument, but is more a view of a town, of a location, a place, to have some general photos of cities and villages and other municipalities. We did it because it's very important for the Wikipedia, because sometimes you don't have a photo, an image of a municipality, and it gets a lot of views and is a very important content. And there are no problem with obviously freedom of panorama if it's let's say a view, a general view of the location. So maybe that could be something to consider to include, because and people, not everybody is very good in taking those photos. Sometimes there are some disaster, but it can be a try, and it allows also to produce a very useful content for Wikipedia and the projects.
Awesome, Yolanda. Thank you for that input. In fact, I always knew that there will be takeaways among the guests on this session. And Isaac, here you have one. And, feel free to continue the conversation with Yolanda afterwards.
Yes.
Thank you once again, Yolanda. And like many would say, photography in Africa is not really as easy as we usually make it look. We first saw an African community participate in Wiki Loves Monument in 2017. I think that was Tunisia also. So, Isaac, we would love to see more African communities come on board. So, could you share maybe some challenges you've met so far and any advice for future first-time organizers?
Okay. As for me, I believe every competition or project is unique in its own ways. So you would find what might work for me might not work for you. And so all I would say is it's to take a bold move first. You need to take a bold move, like Wikipedia says, be bold and actually jump on. Because if you fear, you don't know what you might be able to actually achieve at the end of the day. And also, if you look at, I always say this, no one is going to write your history if you don't do it. So as Africa, if we don't make that step to actually start documenting what we have, someone else will do it for you, and then it will be on the wrong side, and then you end up complaining, saying, I don't know why they didn't put this, but they put that. I'm sure you know the way it is, whereby you'd find certain history is completely scrapped off and the other one is not written. Why? Because the person who's coming to view, they just get what they see. They don't really get the entire picture from the person who's actually there. So I would encourage people to actually take it upon themselves and just say, this is my culture and this is my heritage, and it needs to be shown in a proper way. And once that is on the minds of people, I'm sure everything will just work out well.
Thank you so much,
I don't know if
Isaac.
I've answered the whole question.
Oh, yes. I was just going to say how right you are, as of course, the context or situations in various locations probably would vary, but then the laws or the copyright laws precisely are almost always the same. And if you go to prison, it will be the same prisons across board. So we hope not. We hope nobody gets into that trouble. And thank you so much for sharing those words of advice to future first-time organizers. And with that, I don't know if there's any last words from anybody here before we probably move to the Q&A segment. Okay. Since there are no last words, I still want to once again thank you very much, Susana, Iolanda, and Isaac, for the detailed responses that you have given to the questions asked so far. It's actually very intriguing learning how widespread the Wiki Loves Living Heritage is in terms of garnering community and local engagement. The question still, begging for answers out there. I mean, how can African cultural heritage space be better documented? Most African museums and heritage institutions or cultural institutions are unfortunately from the colonial eras, And can we trust in these, how do I say, institutions from the colonial eras to be as intentional as, regular Africans would be on the subject? And now that we have restitution happening here and there, should restitution processes be expedited? Because there are some part of African heritage or cultural heritage that were stolen, and as such, it's only maybe someone told you, oh, this thing used to be here and all that. So how can we do more as Wikimedians? I already love the fact that there is synergy on this session. Iolanda offering some input for Isaac to probably look into, and Susana mentioning the possibility of driving the partnership with UNESCO and other institutions further. So these are some questions that we hope that we find answers around as soon as possible. And with that said, we would like to go to the Q&A segment of the episode. There's already one from Sylvia Gutierrez. And Sylvia is asking, has there been any thoughts on integrating as part of the Wiki Loves Monument contests, linking good pictures with existing Wikipedia pages of municipalities where the monument is? Yolanda, would you want to try?
Well, during the last edition of Wiki Loves Monuments, we created also a specific contest for people, including new data on Wikidata, integrating images. So we created a specific session and a prize also for people who online did some of this work. Because it is true that also, for example, I was mentioning the image of a municipality. Sometimes you lack, the image is quite sad not having it. And in that case, it is also a photo that has the advantage of not getting into trouble because of freedom of panorama, and also somehow doesn't necessarily provide only content that comes from colonial past. So it can be an alternative. And in that case, you can link the image on Wikidata and obviously have a great impact on all pages of Wikipedia in all languages. Of course, including images on Wikipedia articles is a manual activity, and also it is important to notice that it depends on the kind of Wikipedia, the community of each linguistic edition, but not everybody likes to have too many images. So there needs to be also a selection and also a curated work. So providing a prize with some guidelines, we found that it could be a way to include also this element. This was our simple experience. I don't know if there are other experiences. I presume it's also maybe an activity for an editathon, for a gathering.
That's an interesting modality. Susana, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I would like to also mention about my or our experiences with the Wiki Loves Living Heritage, because that is also based on data very heavily. The inventories from different countries are imported into Wikidata, and from those pages, lists of traditions or heritage elements are displayed on the pages. And one of the ways, well, these pages also have different functions that you can do. You can use this display of a heritage element to upload image about that. So it will go to Wikimedia Commons and have all that information that this tiny little box about it had on that page. And then for that page, you would also get some lists that you can work on, enrich the information and such. And then, well, maybe I would here at this occasion also want to mention that these lists that are on the pages are based on the inventories, but they are not the only, because we have wanted to specifically be inclusive, that we don't want to limit the project to lists that have been created by specific organizations working on this specific topic. But there is a possibility of marking any tradition that, or heritage element, as it's said, with a tag that this is, or like with a statement on Wikidata that this belongs to Wiki Project Intangible Cultural. This is maintained by Wiki Project Intangible Cultural Heritage. And then through that entry, it becomes visible on the pages, and all these kind of tools that we create around that, whichever are possible to create, they also become available for then these like self-nominations. And I kind of like this very much.
That's nice. Thank you for actually sharing that. Oh, I can see that Sylvia is very, very satisfied as she's making a comment. Very good point on not limiting a contest to a list. Yes, inclusivity is our watchword, or one of our watchwords in the movement. So yes, I totally agree. Thank you, Iolanda and Susana, for actually doing justice to that question. I don't know if anybody has any other question. If not, I personally have one for all of you here. And what is a heritage? I mean, so sometimes we attach it to maybe something that has lasted for what, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Is there a particular number of years that maybe if this thing has actually existed? Or what features, could actually be tagged to something and that thing would be seen as a heritage? I think I will start with you, Iolanda.
I was seeing that in the chat is already mentioned Wiki Loves Africa. So there have been a lot of, and obviously the work of the focus on folklore and immaterial heritage is also another way to include more broadly a heritage. Also, considering that heritage is something dynamic, so it is also something that we can contribute by considering important. There are lots of projects now related also to climate change, in which heritage is under risk, and they ask people what is important for them, what does represent a symbol, a landmark for their communities, because what people noticed with in reconstructing territory after a disaster is that people don't necessarily consider the important heritage what an historian would say. Sometimes it's a symbol. It can be a tree, a location that is important for the community and that the community feels valuable. So I think also considering that heritage is something that changes and that we are part of the people that can highlight what we consider valuable, and also that we can sometimes decide that something is less important than others. That now we are doing a project, we're thinking, well, maybe, some women, maybe Garibaldi, maybe we can look at other political figure in our history. Maybe we can also think of what we feel that deserve to be highlighted, and that can be done also through a wiki excursion when you organize. So you decide what has value and where you want to bring the attention of the communities.
Interesting, because one would think heritage would mean something maybe that has cobwebs all over from so many years of standing and all that. Susana, would you want to add something?
Yeah, I wonder, like anti-cobweb commentary. So one of the even the recognized ones, recognized heritage elements in the intangible cultural heritage lists is demo culture. Do you know this? People get together and they start coding, and that is one of the nominated ones in Finland and Germany and somewhere else. And I think that's an example of, like, you can look at it differently. I think it's always refreshing when you realize, oh gosh, this could be heritage. And then I also like the question of originality is always a problematic one, and I think it should be contested by looking at like emerging cultures and cultural phenomena. And as you said, like, everything is in motion and moving and changing all the time. So maybe even taking the change or the development of, I don't know, heritage or what kind of customs, anything, into focus, so that you wouldn't only look at something that you think the origin is somewhere far away and undiscoverable. And origin as a word should be banned.
That's very funny. Isaac, do you have a definition for heritage?
Myself, I think I'm meant to believe that heritage is anything that is from the past and would want to cherish it and pass it on to the next generation. This can be historical places, this can be tradition, nature, or cultural things like music, dance, or even stories. Those that you would want to be that you would want to move on to the next generation, which that's basically what I understand. Anything that I would believe that it would make me proud and give me an identity to say this is where I actually come from. I've been told the origin should be banned, so I'm trying to avoid the word origin. So, yeah. Yeah, it should be something that should give me a sense of identity, something that I'm really proud of, to say this is actually something we cherish, something we've had, and now I'm giving it on to the next generation so that they can learn where we actually come from. That's what I understand.
Interesting, and I couldn't help but notice a comment from Isla. She said, "For Wiki Loves Monuments in South Africa, we asked people to nominate what they considered was a monument that was not yet on the official lists." So, Isaac, I mean, this could be an exercise for you and your community. Just tell those guys that they don't have a comprehensive list, that people have other things in mind, and Who knows? You might get to update the list for them. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yolanda, and thank you, Susana, for, of course, addressing these questions. And thank you, Sylvia, for highlighting that question because I believe it was very helpful in providing more clarity around the topic of discussion today. You know, the way we actually worry about indigenous languages going into extinction should be the exact same way we should worry about our cultural heritage going into extinction too. Imagine if the heritage of Afghanistan was not documented before the Taliban's destroyed the ones they destroyed. Those edifices would have been gone forever. I mean, they might not restore everything that was ever destroyed. And in the world we live in today, look at Ukraine. That means it could easily be Afghanistan once again in any region of the world and things getting destroyed. But we hope it never comes to that. This means we should really take documenting heritage as seriously as we take documenting biographies and other subjects across Wikimedia projects in order to preserve these beauties digitally. We also must continue to share tips on how to navigate some government regulations, like the one Yolanda and Isaac have shared with us today, as that could, possibly help various local communities navigate the documentation, be it in the global north or in the global south. On behalf of the Wiki in Africa team, I say a big thank you to Sadik, though he couldn't really join us due to the fact that he's in transit. To you, Susana, and you, Yolanda, and Isaac, for finding time to honor our invitation despite your respective busy schedules. And thank you, everyone, for showing up. And with that, I say, see you next time.
This episode of WikiAfrica Hour was hosted by Czeslaws Obanaya. Let us know what topics you want to discuss and join us next month on the same channels. Subscribe to the Wiki in Africa YouTube channel and follow Wiki Africa on social media.